The use of artificial intelligence and data-driven models enables the real-time tracking of spatial usage trends. These models are not only applicable in localized cases such as traffic planning, but also provide insights into the future, predicting trends and the directions in which cities should develop based on the collected data. So in questioning the difference between humans and computers, Penrose focused on the Gödel theorem, which suggests that there are mathematical truths that cannot be proven through computation. For Penrose, the human ability to understand these truths is evidence that humans perform non-computable operations. So my question would be along these lines: how can we integrate human-like non-computable operations, which Penrose might regard as a condition for consciousness, into AI and data-driven city planning processes? And within a system focused on process optimization, how can we justify decisions that are computationally unprovable? And maybe additionally, have you ever encountered such challenges in your research, where computational results clashed with outcomes that might be more intuitive for humans?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. So we think that computational results are like inhumane, but actually like it can be surprisingly human compared to like even current urban planning process. So for example, in my research, I analyzed how many what is the most important features in a city that can predict the health of the residents. And if we are just thinking about it intuitionally, we would say, yeah, the number of hospitals, right? But then the statistical model says, in the contrary to that, it is not the number of hospitals that can predict the health of the residents. It's actually the number of cafes, public transportation, and the quality public spaces. So these are actually something that is quite intuitional to human, but we think that is like something in. But we think that a statistic model would say that a hospital would be the most important thing. But actually, if we look at the right data, and it will tell us more about what is going on in the city, and this kind of data-driven process can tell more truth about the city planning than our current process.
Thank you.
We know that you did a lot of your own research in this, and that you have developed your own models, and that you have like articles published on ResearchGate. Would you say that this first question that we asked you, or the general direction of the first question, reflects the data or the search that you have embarked on during your, I would say, study years, or when you were going from, you said that you were specialized in engineering and then you went into the AI development, or maybe this more computational approach towards engineering? Would you say that this is something that influenced you, or how did this affect your journey?
Yeah, so I started as an engineer, like my bachelor degree was in engineering, and then I studied architecture plus health, which is like we were especially like considering the health effect of architecture, and that is something that is both I would say both subjective and also objective. So like from architecture point of view, it can be like subjective, but to improve health, we need evidence. And that's why I think that combining both the engineering side of collecting data, analyze data, and also this kind of subjective and also a human-centered approach would make sense. And I did that research just want to like explore if this two could actually combine. And surprisingly, that the data tells the story of like real like human feelings instead of just saying that we need to plan more hospitals in the city. So I think this could be something, and there are a lot more like that we can do in this direction. So I think it is a very new and interesting direction to research on.
Often we talk about weak AI. This is an AI agent that can perform a limited amount of specific tasks. On the other hand, there is also talk now of a push towards general artificial intelligence, which would fall in the other category, that being the strong AI. So strong AI is capable of, I would say, learning and adapting in order to solve complicated tasks. This learning, however, is not sufficient to label the AI as of having understanding, but just being able to perform more complicated symbol manipulation. I would just like to touch upon here that the PSSH, so the purely synthetic symbol manipulation model, was proposed in the past. Moving forward, John Searle made a thought experiment called the Chinese Room, which aimed to prove that symbol manipulation mentioned earlier cannot by itself lead to a thinking machine. In the case of the Chinese Room experiment, we are being fed a stream of letters, which with questions written in Chinese or any other foreign language that we don't understand at the moment. With enough time and enough letters, we are able to answer any question and return the answer in Chinese, in perfect Chinese, I would say. So an AI agent is manipulating symbols, but has no understanding of the meaning of those symbols, the deep understanding of the meaning. In contrast, a human understands the symbol/material he is manipulating, but might struggle to produce an accurate set of instructions he used to manipulate said symbols into a greater whole. What do you think are the implications of this on architectural design process and the process of AI agents working alongside humans?
Yeah, I think that's also a very deep and very good question. So first, to like process symbols, the machine doesn't have to like understand what it means. Because there are different types of like AI models, from very like weak ones to strong ones, and already the weak ones can process a lot. Like even before we're aware of this ChatGPT symptom, there are a lot of like weak AI that is already in our like application day to day. So yeah, so it is no question that the computer can do that without understanding actual meanings. But then, like, do humans actually understand all the meanings? I don't think so. Also, like, if I'm learning a foreign language, I would start from like understanding like maybe little about the language culture. So when I translate from my mother tongue to another language, I probably don't know all the implications in the other language. So it is always a learning process, and it's hard to say like human would know everything. And if human don't know everything like from the beginning, then it is also a learning process for human. So it is almost the same for like a learning process for the machine. And working alongside this kind of machine could actually empower designers a lot, because a lot of the times the designers are dealing with something that is not relevant to what they really want to do. Like, how many architects have the time to research users, like talk to users, how they function in the space, and do like whatever design they really want to do. So most of the architects don't have such kind of time, because they are buried in all this production work. And if there are some like AI agents that can delegate this kind of lower value work, then it would be really great to like be free from this production work and work on something that really connect with the other human. And then we can understand more meaning, for example, through the communication with the users. And then we can say, yeah, now we know that what this space really means. So instead of just like now we're just trying to produce the space, and as a designer, I couldn't say that I understand everything.
Mm-hmm. Just like a sub question in this regard is, would you say that in the past or in more recent times, I would say that there was a trend or a push towards like when we see the Internet of Things, we also saw this same approach being much similar to the Internet of Things being developed to cities, so that like individual buildings and individual parts of the city are somewhat informationally connected to one another. Do you think that maybe this trend still persists, or has it been perhaps usurped or changed via this emergence of more AI-driven approaches? Is this something that enhances the AI, or is this like a tangent way of thinking? What would you say?
From my perspective, I think Internet of Things is a good basis for AI because we collect a lot of data with the connected part of building elements. But a lot of the people I talk to, for example, building owners, they collect a lot of data, but they don't know how to use the data. I think AI can help, can empower the people who have a little bit of technical skills to develop their skills into using this data. And previously, it is really expensive to hire a software engineer. And for example, a building owner, they wouldn't think about hire a software engineer to analyze their data, and probably the result they get is not even going to cover their cost. But now, if for example, AI or AI enhanced people are going to analyze this data, then we can make use of the data better. And then, I think generally, Internet of Things is like the infrastructure of data collection, and then AI could make sense of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was an excellent response, by the way. This was like I asked the question because I was studying a lot about this, how smart, what the term smart architecture was, and what the implications of smart architecture were. And this smart architecture was so tied with this Internet of Things, but on a city scale or on a like on this urbanistic planning scale. And I was just wondering, because you do a lot of things with data, I was just wondering how does that fit into is this something that has been forgotten, or I don't mean forgotten in a way that in the true sense of forgotten, but is it something that the new AI approach has basically made better, or made easier to understand? Were there any recent projects that really inspired you? Either they were your own, or from your colleagues, or from people that you interact with that really made you think about the whole integrating the data and the architectural design all in one?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently working on an idea that actually collect, for example, users' feedback on buildings, and then that could be processed with AI, and also combined with, for example, IoT data, and then eventually that could inform how the building operates and design in the long term. So that's kind of an idea that quite interesting for me, because I feel that normally you, as an architect, once the building is finished, it has nothing to do with me anymore. So, and then I'm really curious about how it is actually used, and if there is anything can be improved. And normally architects would get this information just by an anecdotal way that someone talked about something, but that is actually not very helpful, because we have a lot of bias and a lot of not so useful information, and then it will also be forgotten in the long run. And another people say that I do have a lot of data in house, but I don't know how to use it. So that's why I'm trying to work on it. But it's still a very early stage. I don't really have a lot to share on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another Yeah, and another idea is that there's actually a lot of like open source generative AI applications that people have shared, and I wonder like how many architectural offices or this kind of building industry firms generally are using this type of solution, because theoretically it can work, but the software is not as tested as, for example, the proprietary softwares. So you cannot guarantee that it will be like 100% perfect. And open source project is also something that not everybody can use, because it requires a little bit of like technology knowledge, but it can actually solve the problem like a lot of firms have, for example, regarding data privacy and the cost of AI and all this stuff. So you can host it locally or on your own server. So there's actually not so much problem with the but I don't know, like in my previous firm I did that, and it actually worked really well. And we also could for example use our own PDF data, for example on a specific type of building code, and then ask the AI to retrieve the information just on that topic. And but I wonder like if other companies would also be interested in doing that.
So we with the previous interviews we talked about AI models or programs being tools as a as a co-workers in, I don't know, architectural firm. So we thought about AI as a co-worker, but we just say that in the future the balance between the co-worker being an AI and the human worker would somehow change.
You mean the working relationship?
Yes,
and you have
yes.
a co-pilot for like every person. Yeah, I think maybe it's not like one person will have like one co-pilot. It will like one person will have like multiple co-pilots. So one is taking care of your like documents, one is taking care of your for example marketing, and one is taking care of like other stuff. So it depends, and I don't know like how fast it will come, but I think there are a lot of startups working on different aspects. But the way that architecture firms do their business is kind of different from like for example how tech companies do their business. They usually don't do so much like marketing, and they also probably don't have like so much like customer relationship stuff. You just deliver your project and not so much like. But on the other hand, their like business model could potentially be improved if they, for example, adopt some of those approaches. Yeah, but this is also something I'm trying to explore. Like if the business model of architecture firms or engineering firms can be is the problem, or their business model can actually be improved with AI.
It really depends, the thinking in your own mother's tongue, as you said, requires a bit of delving into like the structure of language and the symbols that make up the language. Would you say that this co-working with the AI poses like a unique challenge in a way that the human needs to learn how the structure and how the process of AI actually comes up with a solution? And in this regard, you could say in a romantic tone, does this require the human to actually try to speak and understand the language of the AI in order to understand what these multiple solutions that then come out of the model actually mean? Would you say that maybe you have here like a unique stance, I would say, in regards that you know architecture and you also know the programming side. So maybe can you maybe comment like architecture language is one type of language, a language, and then the programming part for the AI, for the neural nets and everything is another language altogether. So would you say that there are some similarities between this or not?
Oh, you mean the architectural language and the AI's language, something like that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting like point, because I became interested in architecture because I feel like it is very multimodal, like in some way, like in architecture you have for example, text data, and you have like image data, and you have 3D data, and all they are interconnected, and that's like why it's quite fascinating to study architecture, because you can like explore like all this kind of connections. And then in AI, it is also something that has a lot of like dimensions, and you can combine all the different things, text, image, or like video, like 3D. So it's somehow like it is like similar, like in that sense. But then on the other hand, like AI is very based on probability, and it can change a lot. So architecture is not. Architecture must be very definite. So once it is done, it is done. So that way, I'm like I don't think that architects will adopt like AI's language completely, but I think AI will like cut their cost to explore stuff. So like AI can understand all the architect's language, like no matter if it's like text or it's image. Like previously, the technology usually couldn't do that, and if you have just like a database, it is something really like different from how architects think. So now it is AI is the technology for architects. I feel that because we are all high dimensional thinking like people.